I'm gonna tell you my story. It may not be interesting to most, but it's interesting to me. I was diagnosed about oh God, it must have been 8 years now. I remember the first time I was in, it lasted about 3 months. Every time after that, I got quicker and quicker, and I was out before you knew it, and all that shit, right? You gotta play the game, stay quiet, keep yourself. Try to rationalize your psychosis to the doctors enough that they believe, or at least hope, that you have some sense of normality back. But it was an acquired skill. I basically steadied myself so I could interact with the world at large again. Hence the reason I would show my face in these videos. Too much stigma attached to me going crazy. But there's something you ought to know. I'm a role player. I've literally made acting the darkest parts of humanity and inhumanity my forte, and more seriously, I'm a role player and a GM. So I've had to play both the good and the evil for a long time. Long before I ever completely went off the deep end, but just listen nonetheless. That first time I was in, it lasted about 3 months. My mom died around that time. I knew she was dead when I got the call that she was in the hospital. And that psychic just called it. I just knew. She was sick for a long time. She wouldn't survive that kind of a fall and a break. Not her. She put up with so much, but she wasn't going to live this one, and I knew it. Called it as soon as I seen it. Funny thing about me is I pretty much call any shot and then watch it happen. And it's just, I'm so damn smart, so well educated that I can call them pretty good by simple logical deduction. It's not that hard. But I knew at that moment that she was going to die. And I knew no matter what, because this was my first time in an insane asylum, because this was my first time being diagnosed and all that bullshit, I would not be there with her when she went. And at that point, I was close to release, maybe weeks away. It was the ultimate punch in the face, the ultimate kick in the genitals. It doesn't really matter. But either way, it was. So it's probably why I wound back there so many times in the years to follow, roughly a 4-year period. But as of right now, I have never been back there in about, I want to say 4 years. It's been that long. Since then, I've pretty much flunked out of college. Gone to work. Got funding for college. Went to college. Flunked out. But it was circumstances that I can't really explain. Not to an anonymous audience, anyway. Although those who know this story definitely know some of the reasons why I flunked. But it didn't have anything to do with imaginary monsters inside my head or anything along those lines, no. It was the quite real demon of solitude that lurks when you're alone and you have no friends to come over. Your one light-out role-playing has become a torture session where you watch someone GM you and you just grin and smile because you've snapped inside the game, in your character, that you realize no matter what they say is impossible, you're going to try to show them it's not. Because it's a game, and the rolls of the dice don't necessarily translate into a broken arm in real life, does it? But it's an amazing feeling, defying all logic, all your fuck logic, facing down whatever monster the GM throws at you, and coming out on top every single fucking time, no matter what. Taking the rolls where they fall. Taking the cheats the GM probably did in the meantime, and still beating their fucking super boss every single fucking time. I'm a gambler at heart. But, more back to the story. Start. Yeah, I've been diagnosed bipolar. At this stage, I'm probably more of a slightly advanced schizophrenic. It's the funny thing about mental illness, it gets worse as time goes on. There's no cure. You just get crazier and crazier as time goes on. Because damage. We all get damaged from our life. We all get down and depressed. Or rather, we snap and we go into another world where anything's possible, yet nothing's actually happening. And for some people, they actually see that world. But I, on the other hand, have been blessed with only seeing it within my imagination. My mind's eye during a role-playing session. And that's still a beautiful gift that I wouldn't trade for the world. Of course. Back to square one. First diagnosis, bipolar. Type 2, type 1, don't really matter to me. It's all French. They try to sell you, oh, Winston Churchill and all these people had bipolar. They probably say Jesus had bipolar too. I mean, like, if anything is beneficial for you to have, yet a stigma, they're going to sell it that all these fucking famous people had it because, yeah, you can get famous. No, I didn't believe that shit. Not for a damn second. I knew what I was resigned to when I was there. No, you take these pills, you shut up, you don't say anything. If you do, we're going to psychoanalyze it, the fuck, determine if you're going to kill anyone. Meanwhile, you're wasting away in the corner, not actually hurting anyone, thinking about all this bullshit, while all these people around you probably are in a state where they're ready to hurt someone. And you can't tell because you don't know what the shit is. They don't have, like, actually tell you what everyone else is thinking. Even though they probably, like, heard what other people said in sessions. So, it's like random roulette. In one incarnation of my stay at the California hotel, as I first heard it called, which was just a terrible, terrible reference. But it was from a teacher, so I took it. In there, by the way, I was actually attacked by someone who was having a bad day. I'm not going to tell you why I actually got up and went against them. Because I did stupidly get up and go against them, but it was a good reason. And I wouldn't actually punch him, and he asked me to hit him, and I wouldn't. No, I realize that even if your life's on the line, you don't necessarily have to resolve a conflict with violence. And he might have broke my glasses, but neither of us really got hurt. Maybe screwing around a little bit, maybe basic grappling, but no worse than your average wrestling class, except the stakes were a little higher. I could have died. And that's a stupid move, and a very common, rational man told me much later that you shouldn't be a hero. But regardless of what he believes, I will be a hero every single fucking time because I don't give a shit. The funny thing about psychology is there's a Jungian branch, which is kind of like the redheaded stepchild of psychology. They all practice it, but they don't preach it, so to speak. My regular shrink has given me Jungian type psychology and meditation works. It was mindfulness and meditation, but it was all about shadow work, which is Jungian. In shadow work, you're never supposed to practice the shadow in real life. But what they don't really tell you in the meditation is, unless you practice the shadow in real life, you're not really getting in touch with yourself. You're not really being what you've repressed all your life. In other words, all those things you've buried as a child. You're not really being who you are. You're being a solid mask, which is useful on times. It is useful to blend in and have an easy life. But in modern psychological practices, they teach you to need a mask more often than not. They always want the super ego to win. Social Engineering 101. There's a quote from Ruby. Scathing eyes. Yang trailer. Just watch it. Fuck it. I'm too tired. Too scatterbrained from my own schizophrenia to remember that quote recently, even though I already watched it tonight. And that's what it's like living with it. You stay up late nights till dawn, daydreaming about God knows what, throwing it all away. And that's actually what mindfulness meditation taught me to do. To not really give a shit about anything. The whole world could fall apart, I wouldn't care. I just find a quiet place where no one was murdering each other and Sit still, because odds are no one will bother me. Funny as it is, odds are no one would. Basic animal psychology 101. If you're not a threat, they're not going to fuck with you. They won't even give a shit. If you don't even look like you have anything valuable, they probably won't fuck with you. They might be sadistic, they might want pleasure, social predators and all, but those are the ones you kind of got to run from in that kind of circumstance. No. What hurt the most about the first time I went and got diagnosed was knowing that no matter what, the promise I kind of made to my mother over the phone that I would make my life better and I would get myself together and I wouldn't always be bound by my terrible demons that haunted my dreams and kept me awake at night. No, I had to live in the shadow of the fact that she wasn't coming back. And I never tried to pray for resurrection or healing or anything like that. I knew her time had come. I had to live in that twist of fate, that roll of the dice. But just let me say, if I had given up at that point, I would have regretted in some distant afterlife for complete nothingness where nothing should exist. I would have regretted nonetheless not having lived past that and going through all the trials and tribulations that I went through. Because regardless of what happens to you in the run of a day, it makes you what you are. It makes you who you are. Every facet, every ounce, every piece of what you are is forged throughout your daily life. And you may not be able to access it at all times, but God knows it's a part of you. And God knows it drives you. And if you just keep on enduring day after day, no matter what comes at you, good or bad, because sometimes even the best situation can be underlined with the most sincere venom, I assure you, you will look at yourself in your mental mirror. You'll stop for 1 second and realize, I did all that. Every little situation, every little nuance. And if you get in touch with your shadow, you can guarantee charm and sophistication, because the shadow certainly holds the dark and the light parts of us. Just study on if you don't believe me. Try it for a while if you might like it. But apparently they're Gnostics and worship the goddess Sophia, so whatever. I'm in. I'm cool. I can live with that. Whatever. But keep yourself alive no matter what. Live every day, because sure, some days are bad, but some are good. You can't deny a bad day and look for every good day, because sooner or later you'll find all you're doing is considering every day bad and never finding your good day and not valuing the beat and the interplay of the moments, the natural dance of Earth itself, and all the little lives on their paths and how they intersect with yours. You'll never really value every little moment. You'll never really value it. And you could kill yourself internally and not really pay attention to it. But the only reason I've chosen to let go most of what I see in the run of a day is because I wouldn't be able to function if I dwelled on it. Getting away with murder, Papa Roach. I don't look back because I don't even want to or need to. But that doesn't mean I've forgotten. It merely means I'm pretty neutral most days. Pretty calm, pretty quiet. I drink my drink and I don't even want to. How many nights have I drank with my friends and not really wanted to drink, not been in a drinking mood? But there's more to come. If you want to hear this story, just keep coming.